So today on the line, I have the wonderful Susan. Susan, whereabouts in the world are you today?
I'm in Grenada.
I can see a lot of sunshine blasting through the curtains. It's making me feel very, very jealous. Great. Well, no, Grenada is a place that's close to my heart, so I'm very envious that you're there. How long have you been on the island for?
I've been here since August 2020.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you're one of the lucky few who made it out. Had you been planning to move to Grenada for a long time, or was it a spur of the moment thing? How did you end up there in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, we had been planning for years, and before the pandemic itself, I was in the process of actually wrapping things up in the UK as such. But there wasn't such a hurry at the time. But I had to sort of like finish off the sale of my house and everything, and sort of live in temporary sort of accommodation and have my stuff in storage, just waiting for the airports to open, booking flights, on the premises that we were going to be given the go ahead to fly, and then to hear sort of like last minute it's been cancelled. So yeah, I just had to bide my time. And then eventually, when I became so fed up with the same style, because I tried different airline companies to actually get here. One was British Airways, another one Virgin, and all of them kept doing the same thing. I think I got to a stage where I got in touch with the actual High Commissioner of Grenada in London, and I asked what was actually going on, and he gave me the advice at the time that there were people who were actually flying across the St. Vincent. They'd been there for 6 months, trying to wait for the airports to open, and they'd gone to other islands, but they hadn't been able to come across to Grenada. There were even people, I've been told, that were chartering boats to try and see if they could come across and so forth from other islands that they'd been at. And actually, I met someone here who had been on St. Vincent, on the main island there, waiting to come across. They took off as soon as the pandemic started with their children and their husband, and they'd actually been waiting there, waiting for the airport to open. But eventually, I found an alternative route. And that wasn't sort of like by the advice of anyone, just that I heard that Barbados had their airport open, and there were, British Airways were doing regular flights back and forth. So then I thought to myself, there must be a connecting flight from Barbados to Grenada, which was Caribbean Airlines at the time. And in fact, it works out cheaper than a direct flight from London to Grenada.
Wow.
I could have booked 2 flights on a direct flight. Yeah. I could have booked 2 flights with the price that you normally pay for a direct flight, for what I did pay from Barbados. And then I think we went via St. Vincent and then here.
Wow. So what I can tell from that was that you were very determined to leave.
Yes.
There was nothing that was going to stop you from getting there. And also the fact that you sold your house. So that's it. Like you're in Grenada. It's like Grenada. That's where you are for the foreseeable future. What was it that, but going back a little bit, what was it that made you want to move?
We'd been planning it for a while. I had been working and looking after my dad. My dad passed in 2018. And I just think things for me just wrapped up for me in the UK. It just wrapped up, you could see everything was coming to a natural close. And I could see, I don't know how much I can say here, but for me personally, I just saw there's no way out of the racism. I know they say racism doesn't exist, but there's just no way out. Everything, I realized everything that I had been taught was a lie. And I think I got to see myself as a Black woman in the UK, that there will always be some form of opposition. And I think I became tired of the fight.
Yeah.
So, sort of like the fight or flight sort of response. When you realize you're flagging sort of like a dead horse, it isn't going anywhere. I think that's where I got to.
Yeah, no, I could completely resonate with that. And how lucky, whatever. I don't know what the word is, but how appropriate was it that you had somewhere to flee to, right?
Yes,
Because a lot of
yes.
people are here
Yeah.
and they just feel stuck. And so was your husband on board? How did you come to that decision as a couple?
He's Grenadian. My husband's
Okay,
Grenadian, yeah. But I sort of like, I think it was 2016, I sorted out my Grenadian passport. So I had that at hand as well.
right. Perfect. And so when you, what was the plan? What was the pre-pandemic plan? Yeah, what was the pre-pandemic plan?
Was to just come over here and because I think previous years we'd been visiting the island and just getting a feel for it and everything else. Sort of like thinking what we can do and everything else. So it was just to get out here really. I think as well previously before the official pandemic sort of the first initial lockdown, I kind of had an idea because I was following things online, so you could kind of see what was happening and you kind of knew, you know, what was coming, not to the extent, but you kind of knew what was going to happen, and I knew things was going to change. I mean, the way I see the world we knew before the pandemic does not exist anymore,
Yeah,
and it never will, you know. um so I kind of knew what was coming and I didn't want to be part of that.
yeah. Amen to that. And so on the trips that you and your husband were making, what were you looking for? Were you looking for like the ideal area to look in, or trying to establish a friendship group? Or, I mean, I say your husband's Grenadian already, so I guess that makes it easier. But what were you researching as you traveled?
I'm going to be honest here, I was dragging my feet. I wasn't the one that was actually like looking. I was like, you know, you're playing along and you're saying, yes, yeah, you know, the future, we're gonna do this and blah blah. But at the same time, I was dragging my feet.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, because I kept saying, well, my dad's in the UK and everything else, and my sisters and brothers, you know, I'm the last of seven, so I was like, you know, I've still got ties there and everything else. But I just think the whole process my husband's really initiated. So he made the first moves on buying property here and stuff like that. Coming over, I would say, is synthesizing, I can't pronounce the word, me to the actual island, getting, you know, getting used to the culture and everything. Plus, my mum, you know, was Grenadian and everything else. And so I had that there, my aunt, my cousins and stuff like that. So I think, but to be honest, if I go right back, um, my dad was Jamaican, and I
Mhm.
think the first Caribbean island I went to was Jamaica, and that was say 1996. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to come back to the UK from then.
Wow.
For me, it was a culture shock. The fact that I got there and I felt at home. Not so much Jamaica, but being amongst my own. I didn't feel isolated. I didn't feel that I was the topic of the moment. Do you know what I mean? The motif, or do you know what I mean? I felt at home. I felt like I belonged. So I kind of always knew at the back of my mind that I would end up living here in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So
No, definitely. I think for me, I experienced it just being able to breathe. You just breathe
mhm,
differently.
mhm,
You're not tight. You can just be.
mhm.
So, yeah,
Freedom.
completely. Yeah,
Mhm.
completely resonate with that. So how would you describe Grenada to someone who's never been? Well, a lot of people think it's in Spain. It's not in Spain. But aside from that, how would you describe the island? How does it contrast to Jamaica?
Um, the freedom. Jamaica's free as well, but I didn't feel as free there as I am here. Um, I'm trying to think of a way to say this to be careful.
Oh, well, you don't have to contrast it, but like, what do you think the selling point for you? What are the selling points for Grenada?
um, the safety, you know, Grenada. It's a safe island. It's beautiful and everything else. Jamaica's beautiful. as well. The people are beautiful, the culture's beautiful, but I just feel safe here in Grenada.
Yeah. And whereabouts on the island are you planning to settle, or are you settled?
Monjolo. It's
Okay.
Monjolo.
I'm trying to remember where that is. Describe where Monjulu is.
It's where at the moment I think they've built the new the natural disaster sort of like shelter.
Okay.
I think through Nagma. It's not far from there.
Okay, nice. So you're in St George's basically. You're not
Yes,
too far
yeah,
from town.
yeah.
Nice. And so what's your day-to-day life like?
Well, I wake up in the morning and it's work. I work 2 days in the office and 3 days at home. So it's work, but it's really I don't know. It's like when I was in the UK, I taught in a secondary school for years,
Oh wow.
and but the issues around that is something else. You're stressed constantly, because you're constantly on the go. I think at one stage in the UK, I had 5 jobs, different
Wow.
part-time jobs and stuff like that as well, doing work with the exam boards and so forth. But being here, the work life sort of balance, it is different. It is completely different. I mean, stress here is not stress compared to UK stress. Stress in the UK, you're talking about eventually down the line, if you don't deal with it and you sit on top of it, you're going to the GP surgery and you're going to be looking for something or some disease related to stress. So, and the fact that you're able to breathe in fresh air, go for your walks, go to the beach, eat healthy and everything else, you can deal with the stress here. Do you know what I mean? Compared to the UK, there is nowhere else to go but your home.
Yeah.
Because everywhere else where you go, it's, in the summer, yes, the summer months and stuff, but there isn't really anywhere as such from where I was living in Birmingham City, to go as such that I will enjoy.
No, definitely. And a lot of people criticize Grenada, some of my own family included, because they say it's dead. There's nothing to do there. How do you adjust to the different pace of life, and what do you replace it with? Like, if you can't go to the shopping center, I mean, there's like one shopping center, but if you can't do that, or like see the latest blockbuster movie at the cinema, or go to a great museum, what do you do instead?
I think you've got to change. You've got to change your mindset. It's a different way of living. If you think that you're going to come over here with the same sort of mindset in the UK and want to live that kind of lifestyle, then I think we're sadly mistaken. Because I think when I came over here initially, I was like, you're constantly on the go, the adrenaline, you're running on it, you want something to do, you're always doing something, go here, there, and everywhere. But you've got to change your way of thinking. You've actually got to sit back and enjoy life and appreciate it day by day. That's what Grenada's done for me. Do you know what I mean? Because in the UK, it was like work, home, and there wasn't really much time to think and be me and even think about the future and appreciate the things around you, the people around you, and life and everything else. You didn't really have time for that, because the time you did have for yourself in the UK, whatever time you did have, you'd be sleeping or watching TV.
Right, just
But
recovering.
here, I've been able to shut that off completely, and just focus on other things. I mean, the weirdest thing is the masters that I'm doing now, I've always wanted to do it for years. I applied initially from 2013 and I couldn't find time to do it, even though at the time I'd gone part-time to look after my dad. But since I've been here, remember, I'm working full-time, plus I'm doing other things. And I'm finding time to do my masters. So that says it all.
Yeah, amazing. And what are you studying?
Psychology.
Oh, wow. Wow. And do you plan to use that in Grenada?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there's a real need, isn't there?
There is a need, but I do think the area needs to be developed further in psychology. I mean, it's moved on leaps and bounds here, but it definitely needs to, I wouldn't say appreciated, because it is. I just think it needs to grow more.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Once they understand what it can do, hopefully it be utilized even further.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so what would you say is the biggest adjustment that you've had to make while living in Grenada?
I miss the freedom of the UK where you could just go shopping and buy your stuff what you want in the supermarkets and not have to worry about, you know, if they've got that product. But I suppose that's gone now in the UK, you know, speaking to my family where some of the shelves are empty in some supermarkets, you know, because I think, don't forget, in the UK, we used to be able to we're getting stuff from different countries. So you're always stocked up and everything else. And those are the little things that I took for granted. Because like, for example, with avocado pear, you know, I was under the assumption, I know it sounds stupid, but I could get that all the while here and
Same
going to the
here.
and I looked around and I was like, where is the avocado pear? And I'm like, and someone says to me, there's seasons, you
Right.
know, and it's out of season now. And I'm like, but why don't they import it in? Because, you know, in the UK, we get it constantly, even though we don't grow it, yeah, as such. So, yeah, so it's adapting to that, a change in lifestyle. And also, as well, I think we've always got everything on point in the UK. Whatever we want, it's there in terms, because I'm very much a foodie, I would say. Weight wise, I used to be really quite big. And since I've been here, I've changed my lifestyle completely. I started to make that change before I even left to come here, but it's changed the way I eat as well. You know, since I've been here, my diet's changed. I'm eating more healthily, whereas in you had hands on all sorts of junk, you know, and plus you never had time to cook either.
Yeah.
You know, what time you did have was for you to relax, not to, you know, stand up in front of the cooker and cook as such, because by the time you got home, mentally you were exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, but so one of the things that people often ask me is, how do I find a job in the Caribbean, however you want to say it? And I always advise that, given that the rates of unemployment are so high, quite often what people really should be looking to do is to create their own businesses, so that you're not taking away a job from a local. But as you quite rightly say, there are obviously skills that are missing or that aren't present on the island, because people who are qualified tend to go overseas in order to find work. So there is ways in which the diaspora definitely can fill some gaps. How did you go about finding a job in Grenada? Was it something that you intended to do? Can you talk me a bit about what that process was like?
It was through my CV. So it was handed into the ministry by one of my husband's relatives. And I was contacted and invited to an interview. So it was just by handing out my CVs to different organisations and stuff like that. What I found difficult is like in the UK, you could just go online and look, or join an agency or something, look in the newspapers. I haven't been able to access that and work that out at the moment to see where are the jobs advertised. But whenever I've contacted, like after my CV was handed out, because I was thinking, should I go and stick in teaching and stuff like that? So I did contact the Ministry of Education, and they said to drop my CV off. So it is, I think it is through your CV.
Right. Yeah. I guess like networking helps as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
People who can
Definitely.
do that word of mouth stuff for you. And so can you talk me through talk me through the logistics of moving to Grenada, of like shipping everything over? Did you ship a car? Did you use the what do you call it, the returning nationals program? Is it how was the bureaucracy and the logistics of moving?
It was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I used a shipping company what do household removals as well. So they moved me and stored my stuff was stored at their base. And when I was ready to ship, once I managed to get a flight, I was just given a date of when my stuff would be shipped. I was here, and I think it was about like 2 to 3 weeks after I was here, my first shipment came. Going to the port and going through the logistics there was difficult.
Okay,
That
so
was
you did that on
stressful.
your own. Wow.
That was stressful. We had to get an what do they call it? We had to sort of like get a I forgot the term,
Is it
but
a
we had to get an agent, a broker. That's it. We had to get a broker, and that helped greatly. But that was by going to the shipping company that had received the information here, the agents,
Okay.
and they were able to sort of like recommend a broker, and they helped a lot. So, but that wasn't straightforward. There were issues there. That was really stressful, and
Oh,
that wasn't just all here, Grenada as well. That was like UK based problems as well, in regards to paperwork and stuff like that. But once we managed to get our stuff, we were able to then put it in storage here, until we was able to get a place to put everything in the one place.
okay.
But it
And
is
so,
pretty straightforward,
yeah.
because they even pack. I mean, some of the shipping companies can actually pack your stuff for you,
Wow.
so you don't even have to pack a book.
And what has it been like living in Grenada with the whole curfew situation? Because I know like most Caribbean islands have some sort of curfew. What has that been like? Has it been very different to ordinary day-to-day life?
Coming from the UK, the first lockdown, I don't care what curfew is in place, it's freedom. No, seriously, because in the first lockdown, I was literally, I don't know, I feared for my life, I'm being honest.
Wow.
Because even though I was in the house, and I had like family there, I don't know, it was like prison.
Mm.
Because don't forget, you the backyard space that you have, that's it. It was literally like you're in prison. And here, I mean, your houses are far, we're not living on top of each other or anything. You've got space to breathe. I mean, a lockdown to me here is like living in paradise.
Right.
You can still walk outside your house and go to a tree and pick an orange, a mango, a banana, you still got your freedom. You can sit outside. You haven't got, you're not living on top of someone, you're not living that close that you're frightened if someone sneezes next door.
Mm.
That sort of spray is going to travel across the back fence or anything else. You haven't got that at all. You're coming out your house, shutting your door, you're not frightened of someone else coming out next door and being that close to you or anything else. You don't have that here. And also as well, I know people, or know of people that have been living here and they're still able to shop online and have their stuff delivered directly to them. So even if you're still pretty much in that mindset where you don't feel safe going to supermarkets and such, so there's still that facility of having your shopping delivered, or ordering your shopping online and going up and picking it up quickly and putting it into your car and coming straight back home. So you do have that sort of facility if you're used to that from the UK.
Yeah. Wow. Exciting, exciting. I can't wait. And so have you come across many other people who've moved from the UK to
Yes.
Grenada in recent
Yeah.
months?
Yeah. As I said, the one from St. Vincent and her family, coming across them, that was a strange phenomenon as well. Because I just started to speak to someone randomly standing at a store and trying to buy some tomatoes. And the husband started speaking to me. He's like, I really want you to meet my wife. I really want you to meet my wife. And then when she turned up, she was a teacher in the UK as well. She had her own business and everything. And she was one of them that flew straight away as soon as she heard COVID. She didn't even wait for things to go into lockdown. She packed up with her children. I think that inspired me, because I thought, if anything, people with children would think to themselves, well, hold on a minute here. I want my children to stay here. Best place for them to be education wise. No, she got them out of there. And I think they're attending I think a Montessori school now,
Okay. Yeah.
and everything else, and it sounds like they're doing well. There was there is someone else here blogging as well from the UK. There's another person I met online. So there is quite a few people here, and well, it's not just one other person. There's about 3 other people I've sort of like met their profiles, their platforms online, that have made the move, and they're not, as people tend to think, retirees. These are young people coming back to either do a business you know, or like yourself, they're blogging online and so forth. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think definitely there is a movement. There is a wake up call, and there is a movement where it's no longer, oh, I'm going to wait till I retire and then I'm going to make the move. Younger generation, younger people are making that move across now. They're connecting back with their people and seeing if they either they can come and make a change and make a direct impact, or whether it's working in an organization or something, or setting up a business. But I would recommend any young person to do that. I'm sorry to say, the UK just looks, I don't want to say, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
The writing is clearly on the wall.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, our parents, you know, our parents and our foreparents made that journey across the waters, looking for, you know, a better way of living, an opportunity. That was good, you know, we were able to get that. But I think we need to get back now to our roots, because believe it or not, one of the things I've learned on my journey is we think as though because we were born and bred in another country, in the UK, that we are the ones that are better off. No, we are imprisoned in our mind. You know, we are the ones that are messed up, because if you think about it, we've been bombarded from every single direction through the education system, throughout our work life, you know, even in our social circles and our friendships, always constantly battling people in, and you know, in regards to who we are, acceptance, you know, having to put on a mask to please people and not be ourselves or anything like that. And then when you come over here, you're meeting people who sometimes come across naive because they've never had to face the battles that we've had to face. And it's almost as if we're war veterans. Do you know what I mean? We're coming back with a different mindset, a different approach. Do you know what I mean? And we have to learn to adapt as well. Funny enough, I was watching Black Panther the other day, and I can totally see. And I was watching it again, and I can totally see where that other character has, you know, has come from. I could definitely see that. I can, before I couldn't really see it. You know, people were saying about the messages they got from that and everything else, but I can see it now.
Yeah. Yeah. The Killmonger character. There are scars. There are definitely scars. But yeah.
Definite scars, and we
Beautiful.
need to be healed as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to say. Oh, I've loved speaking to you, and my flight, I've lost count of how many flights I've had cancelled, but fingers crossed, sometime in June or July, I'll make it out. So I'd love to sit down and have sip a coffee under a mask with you on a beach somewhere. But for those who are kind of on the fence, thinking like, oh, I could move, but what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about making the move, and one isn't sure, and two is thinking, okay, how do I actually go about doing this? Where do I start? What advice would you give?
There is no but. There is no but. You have to step out in faith. And once you step out in faith, everything else will fall into place and in line. I think the longer you stick on the fence, you'll always sort of like be there wondering if, but, how, why, and there'll be loads of questions. But unless you actually take and make the first step, you'll forever be sitting there on the fence. And I think the lure of the UK thinking all the opportunities here and everything else, unless you step out, you will never know what is actually waiting here for you.
Perfect. Love it. People should listen to that on repeat every morning to make sure that they just do what they need to do to like get out. Susan, yeah, thank you so much. Really look forward to catching up with you in person in Grenada, and wish you all the best with whatever comes next.
Thank you. It's been lovely speaking to you.